I think that the developers Turn10 are doing a bad job at balancing for Forza Motorsports Multiplayer. They should have the tools to be able to do a better job, and I want to show you why I think that. Taking a look at GT cars recently and seeing how bad some of them behave stock and how different the pace is, it got me thinking. What are the devs doing for balancing? What tools are they maybe using? Could they do a better job before the cars are released? And what about after? So I started researching, and I think you'll find the results quite interesting. Not to spoil too much here, but I'm convinced that they could do way better without much effort, but are choosing not to. I also want to share with you my suspicion why we haven't seen pretty much any balancing at all after release. Welcome back to HD Racing. If you are new around here or haven't already, hit that subscribe button to support the growth of the channel. But let's get into this. You may remember the developers bragging before release about how good the AI is in the new Forza Motorsport. We know that the AI has tons of problems, which I will not discuss in this video, but granted, it is a lot faster than it used to be, and that without cheating. So this got me thinking, do the devs use the in-game AI for balancing purposes? Would that even work? And should they? That is what I wanted to figure out. And spoiler alert, if they were just using the AI to figure out how fast a car is compared to others in its class, they could already make way better decisions for balancing. A lot of cars that are over or underpowered could have been predicted to be just that by using the in-game AI. But let's start at the beginning. My methodology for figuring out how the AI could help in figuring out the pace of a car is this. Set up a free play lobby with all cars being the same. Set the AI to the strongest value and disable all interference factors like dynamic track rubbering and tire and fuel consumption. I also enabled ghosting for all cars, so traffic would not be an issue. For my own car, I always loaded the stock tune from the multiplayer spec series. I wanted the AI to use the exact same state, but for some reason the PI upgrade system for AI works differently than for players. They just would not use the exact same PI as me, no matter what I tried. So I just settled for getting them as close as possible. For my own car, I enabled all the assists possible, so my own driving would not be a factor. Instead, the game would drive the car for me, and I would have another lap time comparison to look at. I then got started at Maple Valley. I let the assists and the AI cars run for 3 laps and noted down the times for both my own car and for the fastest AI driver. I did this process for 6 cars: the Acura, Aston, Audi, BMW M8, Holden and Huracan Super Trofeo Evo. The actual lap times were not the focus here. What I wanted to do was compare the times of these cars with each other. Maybe we could already see what we know to be true. That the Audi, for example, is too strong and the Holden too weak. So let's first take a look at the lap times my own car did using all assists. These are the best lap times, but they never really differed more than 0.1 of a second, so assists are actually really consistent. You can see that the times differ quite a lot between the cars, even from the average lap time of all cars. The worst to best lap time is a difference of over 2 seconds. Here you can see how much the car's lap time differ from the average. I color-coded these with up to 1/4 of a second being green, everything up to a second being yellow, and over a second deviation being red. We can already tell something from this, can't we? Here is the best lap time for the AI drivers for each car, and the deviation from the average again. While most cars are somewhat close to the average, the two outliers are even more pronounced. Even from this result, we can already tell that the Audi is a lot faster and the Holden a lot slower than the other GT cars. But there are a lot of different tracks in Forza. Maple Valley is very flowy, with some higher speed and some lower speed corners and not a lot of straights. So I needed a second track that was very different. I chose to go with Road America East, which basically has 4 corners and 2 very long straights. So I redid the experiment with every car on this track. The results were not as extreme, but still significant. These are my own assisted times again. The lap time difference from worst to best lap is only 1.2 seconds, but the lap is also shorter. All times are not far off from being either half a second faster or slower than the average. The Audi is still the fastest car, but actually the Holden is very close behind here. The result is very similar when looking at the best AI times. If we were just looking at these results, then one could think that the Holden is too strong. We know that it's not, because we can't just look at the one track the Holden shines on. And that brings me to the point of this video. I'm sure that Turn10 has way better tools to run an experiment like this for every car on every track. I mean, both the racing lines and the estimated lap times for fuel calculations are made by the in-game AI simulating the car on the track in the current conditions. So it should be fairly easy for Turn10 to test out a new car and see if the upgrades and tuning they put in make it a good fit in the spec series they want to put it in. And that includes both the permanent series as well as the rotating ones. It should be especially easy to detect outliers, which are either way too good or way too bad. But they are either not doing anything like this or choose to ignore it, which would be even worse. I don't want to start speculating why that could be, but some cars costing real money while others not might be a motivating factor. So some cars make it to the game being completely broken and dominating a particular spec series, which is a shame. And while after these experiments I'm sure that they could avoid that to a degree by using AI tools, there is also the necessity for manual testing. Everyone that has driven some of the newly released GT cars like the Trans Am Corvette or the Super Trofeo Evo knows that they sometimes are just a nightmare to drive without tuning. And that is something AI just can't find out. The devs need to drive these cars themselves as well, with different input devices and assists to really figure out if they are actually releasing something well polished to the community. Because I feel like right now they are not doing a good job at that. Both in terms of balancing and providing a good out-of-the-box experience. But that's not even the worst of it. All of what I just talked about is what they could do before a car gets released. But what about after? When they already messed up? Why are we not seeing more balancing for cars of the different spec series? Well, I have some suspicions here as well. The only car we know of getting balanced, or in this case nerfed, was the VW Golf GTI touring car. That one was way too strong, a paid-for car and dominating the touring cars, so something had to be done. But what did they do? Did they use the in-game upgrade system to remove parts and reduce power or handling? Did they add ballast? No, they didn't. Even though the possibilities are right there. They instead opted to do a under-the-hood power nerf for multiplayer only. In the spec series, the power now is only 248 kilowatts. If we take the exact same tune to single player, the power there is still 276 kilowatts, the same that it was in multiplayer before the nerf. Why did they do this? Why in this manner when there are other options? Here is my suspicion. They needed to do it this way because they haven't figured out a way to nerf or buff a car with the upgrade system while keeping players' tunes unaffected. Because right now, to be able to save a tune in multiplayer, you must have unlocked all the upgrade parts for it. So the upgrades are still tied to the tune, even if in the spec series you can only do fine-tuning. And I think this is the reason why we haven't seen any other attempts at balancing cars of the spec series. Even though some would really need that. It seems like right now, Turn 10 can only do these weird under-the-hood multiplayer-only adjustments and seem hesitant to do so. I know this is just speculation on my part, but it seems to make sense. Why else did they nerf the VW Golf the way that they did, and why else have we not seen any other balancing? In my opinion, this is quite disappointing. While the game is really fun and I love the multiplayer spec series, I wish the choice of car wouldn't matter as much. Handicapping yourself by choosing a suboptimal car because you like it is never all that fun. And as I said, it could have been avoided from the get-go. And there could have been at least some attempts at balancing after release. I really hope Turn 10 gets this going, and soon. Because otherwise the multiplayer spec series might get very stale with people choosing all the same cars to be able to compete. I know this is not all people care about. But still, it looks like it would be so easy for Turn 10 to do a better job in the future. And I hope that they do. Let me know what you think on the subject. Am I overreacting? If you enjoyed this discussion type video, let me know by hitting the like button. And if you want to see more gameplay focused videos, I've linked some for you on screen. Thanks a lot for listening. I've been HD Racing. See you next time.